you in the room here. Can I let you know? We love it. We saying we got a little problem with the last few videos I done made, huh? A lot of y'all sitting there got something to say, huh? Well, I'm live now. Pull up. I'll let you know. Let's work. All right. Hey. I'm live now. Talk your shit. I'm waiting on you. Niggas ain't been the same since I went crazy. Waiting on you. Niggas got a problem. Y'all see my penis, nigga. Coming slow. What's up, 913? What's up with you? Zig the Kid. Oh. You know how I do, baby. NBBC. Shout out to the set. Marvin Magnus. Andrew Tucker. Jay Reese. 3. Oh, know who that is? Mr. Tupac. Hey. Hold up. Oh, shit. Shane. Hey. Shane. Ready to go. Hey. Chime on in, y'all. Chime on in, y'all. Hey. Heard y'all been waiting. I'm here now. What to do with the business is, man? It's your boy DT3, the Boom Easy. And I'm back at you once again with another Boxing Talk podcast. And I am joined by my brother from another mother, my boy Shane in the building. What to do with the folk? What's up with my boy Shane, man? How you been? What to do, bro?
What's good? Yeah, I couldn't even hear you for a second, but I can hear you now. You're clean and clear.
Clear now. What's up, man?
I'm good. How you been?
Man, alive and well, bro. Just been doing a lot of working, trying to get things on the house situated and everything. So now I'm in a comfortable place where I can start doing lives. Got my computer fixed, so now I can give y'all some more live stream content.
Do you have any fights coming?
Do I have any fights coming right now? No, right now I'm training on my own out of Panther Muay Thai and T4A. I'm all over the place right now. I'm just trying to stay in shape. Not really tripping on fighting too much right now. I'm just mainly focused on my kids and getting and staying in shape. So just in case I get that call.
Well, you see the fight on Saturday?
Oh, but of course I saw this fight on Saturday. I saw it. And we gonna cook on it. We got some takes on it. What's your take on the fight that happened this past weekend, Shane? What's your take?
I mean, it went exactly how I thought it would go in terms of the way the style of the fight went. I thought Fury fought the best style he could fight. I know a lot of people was expecting him to come out aggressive, but he's never shown. I know people expected and wanted him to come out like how he fought against Wilder, but Wilder's a completely different fighter, and he doesn't have the ability to sustain those attacks against a mobile fighter like Usyk. Usyk's punch output was much lower than it normally is, but it was still significantly more than what what Fury's accustomed to. So I kind of, even before the fight, I mean, for the last 2 years, I've been saying Usyk will beat. In fact, since the first AJ fight, I've been saying Usyk will beat Fury because his style is just not made for someone like Fury. Fury prefers much taller and stationary targets.
So you think if Usyk would have been more of a stationary target or a taller target, he would have had more success in that fight?
It's proven. It's proven to be the case. You know, Fury doesn't like fighters who, have good foot movement and who are going to use angles. You know, Wilder, for all the power that he has, he's pretty much his footwork isn't the greatest attribute that he has. Neither was Chisora's, neither was White's, and that's what he was able to exploit. But when he's fought fighters who are a lot more mobile, whether it's Cunningham or Otto Wallin, he's always had more issues. But Usyk presents way more angles and way much more movement. So I knew it was going to be way harder of a fight. And then not to mention the fact that Usyk's punch output pretty much, I mean, going into the fight, I don't know if you know this stat, DT3, but if you add up Fury's punch stats against Ngannou, Chisora, and White, it still doesn't equal to how much punches Usyk threw against AJ in the second fight. So that punch output is way more than what Fury's ever been up against. And he's always going to get outworked. Unless you're going to knock him out, you're never going to outwork and outland someone like that.
So you think the effective aggression of Usyk really played the part, and also being southpaw as well. What did you think? What is Fury's success rate against southpaw? Is Usyk technically the first southpaw Fury really been up against?
No, he's fought Otto Wallin, and obviously historically Otto Wallin cut him over his eye. But another thing that a lot of people didn't figure out was there was a few times Ngannou switched southpaw in the fight as well. And if I advise everyone to go back and watch it. I'm not just saying this after the fact. But if you watch the first round between Dillian Whyte and Fury, Fury won every single second of that fight, other than the first round. The first round, Dillian Whyte came out southpaw, and it was almost like Fury didn't know what to do. He was almost shocked and surprised. I mean, not saying that southpaw was the only reason why Usyk won, but it was a massive contributing factor. There was too many factors leading up to the fight that I knew this was going to be a completely uphill climb for Fury. I knew that.
I felt like he made Fury work when Fury didn't want to work.
Facts.
I think the southpaw angle was giving him problem, and I thought it was beautiful, very beautiful, how Usyk was getting under Tyson Fury's jab to throw his right jab to Fury's body. I thought that was masterful. I did feel like Fury should have let his lead right hand go, because I felt like the punch was there from what I saw. People could have saw different, but I did feel like early on, based on the pressure that Usyk was putting on Fury, I felt like he was leaving himself open to catch lead right hands, and Fury just didn't throw the motherfuckers. And even if Usyk wouldn't have got caught clean with a straight right hand, it still would have kept Usyk honest to know that that straight right hand is coming down the pipe. Because if you know anything, you know that the straight right hand or the lead right is an Achilles heel to a southpaw. If you know
all the time. But you know, the thing is, Jeff always says this. Obviously, Jeff's my boy. He always says this. You're asking a guy to use a tool that isn't in his toolbox. You'll never ask an electrician to fix your sink. And we've never seen Fury use a lead right hand, and he's never had to, because he's always been so left hand dependent. He's always had a very strong left hand, and even at times where he tried to switch southpaw, he's not as coordinated as people think, especially if you're asking him to use that lead right hand, because someone like Wilder, who has that explosive power, when you see that lead right hand coming, even if you can read it coming, it's still quick enough to get to the target. Fury doesn't really have the mechanics that Wilder has, where when he throws that right hand, his body is quick enough to explode that shot to hit the target. If he did try to load up on that right hand, I agree with you. That right hand would have caused Usyk a lot of problems, and it's caused Usyk problems in the past. But I just don't think Fury has the coordination to throw it. And I've never seen him. I haven't seen a fight where I've ever seen Fury ever throw a lead right hand. But it would have been a good punch. It would have definitely been a good punch.
I thought it would have been the perfect punch to throw, especially in round 2 when Usyk was kind of just standing there. He really was more so feinting with his hands, not really with his head. I felt like Fury should have just let it go. If he would have just threw it, it'd have been like, oh shit, I can't just run up on this dude without something coming at me. And it was like, all you're gonna do is the jab, jab, jab. And once he timed that jab, he got under that jab with his own jab.
Do you know what shot I would have also done? If you're gonna throw that right hand, and I 100% agree, you know what a shot I would have always also thrown would have been almost like a slapping left hand, not with any power, but just to center your southpaw, because everybody knows southpaw is leading with their right foot. They're constantly trying to slip to the right to get on the outside. If you slap that left hand, you center it. you no longer can get on the outside of your left hand. You slap it, you keep him center, and then you can follow up with the right hand. A good example of that was when Wilder fought Ortiz in the first fight. In the first fight, Wilder started slapping that left hand, and then he walked Ortiz onto that right hand. And you can't just have a long left hand straight against a southpaw, because he's just going to be on either side of that. And Usyk exploited that big time.
Yeah, and another thing that I said when people got upset at me for saying, Fury isn't as good as everybody said he is. Just number one, I am a firm believer, and it has been proven even against me with my talented self that hard work beats talent.
Every time.
Everybody is sitting there talking about Fury as he's this talent, but he doesn't put any work in the gym. He's not in the gym 365, 24/7. Usyk just came forth and told you he missed New Year's, his son's birthday, his daughter's birthday, the birth of his child, all to become undisputed champion. Do you think Tyson Fury is going to sacrifice half of what Alexander Usyk sacrificed for an actual fight?
That's a fact, no. Because again, you're 100% right. He has relied on talent. But here's the thing. He's relied on talent. Again, a lot of people who's saying what they're saying it on the basis of watching Fury since he's fought Wilder. I've been watching Fury before he even fought Klitschko. I've been watching Fury for years. Fury's always been talented amongst a very untalented bunch of British fighters. He's always been, like the British heavyweights at that time that Fury was coming up. I mean, our best heavyweights were David Price and David Haye. They aren't as talented as the crop of heavyweights that you have now. And because of that, Fury's relied on that. He's basically had that habit his whole entire professional career. We've only seen professionalism within Tyson Fury pretty much within the last 3 or 4 years since he's come back from his meltdown. And even then, we've seen unprofessional behaviors like in the lead up to the Ngannou fight. And when people say that Fury is this overly talented fighter, there isn't one attribute that you can take from Fury other than maybe the fact that he has amazing dimensions, like he's really tall, he's really big, but he doesn't have one specific technical attribute that you can say is 10 out of 10. He doesn't have a 10 out of 10 jab, he doesn't have 10 out of 10 timing, he doesn't have 10 out of 10 footwork, he doesn't have 10 out of 10 head movement. Like when you look at Tyson Fury, there isn't one specific attribute that you can say, yeah, that's 10 out of 10. So he's not as skilled as people think. He's just very skilled because he looks very big.
Yeah. And I had pissed off somebody. I pissed off a fanboy yesterday. Somebody actually saw my video and see me in 3D. And it was like, I was biased about Fury, and Fury is the best heavyweight, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, look, man. And I'm going to say this on wax. I said, man, Tyson Fury couldn't beat Ken Norton. And they got mad at me for saying it. It's like, do you know who the fighters Ken Norton was up against, bro, in his time?
Yeah, I mean, I know why you say that, because even when you look at someone like Ken Norton, stylistically, he gave Ali the hardest fights that he had. And because he had again, people don't get the concept of styles make fights. And I felt like because people saw how Fury dealt with Klitschko and how Fury dealt with Wilder, people were lost in this idea. I mean, I kept hearing people say, oh, Fury's just going to walk Usyk down. And I'm thinking, you guys don't understand. Boxing doesn't work like that. Usyk is a completely different issue than Wilder. He doesn't even have to be a better fighter than Wilder. He doesn't even have to be a better fighter. He just has to be a different fighter. And then he causes a different set of problems. Like, we've seen it so many times, bro. Like, so many times where we've seen different styles cause different problems. And it's just part and parcel of boxing.
And I thought it was gonna be more of a battle of the front foot. I did think Fury was going to bully him. I said it in the video. I thought Fury was going to bully Usyk, but be strategic about it. He was going to lean on him, put his weight on him, dirty box him a little bit. And then as the rounds go on, Usyk was going to get muscle fatigue or body fatigue. And that didn't happen. Usyk was in this man's chest the whole fight.
And do you want to know why? Everybody, I don't know if you see the show that I do every week, but even the guy who has done the show, we were debating about this before the fight. He was saying the same thing. I see Fury just bullying him and being heavy and like cumbersome and coming forward. I was like, you got to understand, for one, Fury doesn't, in my opinion, and I've seen this in recent times, he doesn't trust his gas tank. We're not seeing a Fury that throws 50, 60 punches around. You know what I'm saying? We're not seeing 100 punches around. You literally saw Fury back up the whole fight. Even in the rounds he won, when he hurt Usyk with that uppercut, you didn't see Fury come forward. He was
supposed to follow up. Not to cut you off. He was supposed to follow up right there.
He don't trust his gas tank, bro. He literally does. You can clearly see he doesn't trust his gas tank. And you're asking him to be aggressive and come forward against the most elusive fighter he's ever fought. It's the hardest thing to do. If you're like, you fought before DT3, so you know more than anyone. If you're not naturally an aggressive fighter, like a come forward fighter, like a Mike Tyson or a Marcus Maidana, if you're not naturally
Derek Chisora,
or Derek Chisora, for example, if that's not how you are by nature, it is increasingly harder to do that against a fighter who's even more elusive than what you're used to. It's way harder. And I don't think, like, I get it. Fury walked down Wilder, and Wilder had so much power, but Wilder doesn't use the angles that Usyk uses. So it's very difficult to pin down. It's like trying to pin down a mouse in your house. Like, it's very difficult to do that because they're just so much faster than you.
Yeah, and a lot of people was like, well, look at what he did to Wilder. I say, okay, first off, Wilder has no feet. Wilder only has one punch. He doesn't have a jab. He don't have a left hook. He don't have an uppercut. He don't have an overhand right. He doesn't have a barrage of punches or a plethora of punches that he utilizes when he fights. The only thing you are worried about when you fight a Deontay Wilder is that right hand. Once you take that away from him, he has nothing else for you at all. So if you keep Wilder on the back foot, if you keep him on the back foot, constantly putting forward pressure on him and keep him going back, he can't do shit. He's proven time and time again he can't fight on the back foot. And then you comparing a guy who has little to no skill to a dude who is not only a former Olympic gold medalist, but a former undisputed champion, and he's currently a unified champion, so he's more accomplished than Wilder. He has more of a punch preference. He has a jab. He has a right hook. He has a left hook. He has an uppercut. He can move. He has every tangible that Deontay Wilder does not have in the division. And you was expecting, well, not you, Shane, but people were expecting Fury to just mow through Alexander Usyk like that because of what he did with Wilder.
Exactly. I mean, and this is the thing, like, people also don't respect Wilder when they say that because they don't, like, the fights that Fury had with Wilder took a lot out of Fury. Like, it took a lot out of Fury. And here's another thing that thing people don't understand. Fury knows his body more than all of us. He knows his body more than all of us. And when he fought Ngannou, when things started to get hard, he started to move around the ring. He started to back off. He didn't make it an engaging fight. If you watch that 12th round, even though Ngannou looked tired, Fury did not look in shape at all either. So in my opinion, Fury, this guy, he had no trust in his physical ability. He relied specifically on, and I actually think, as much as people are giving Tyson Fury a lot of stick right now, and I get it because he spoke a lot of shit in the lead up, but I actually felt like he fought the best fight he could have fought under the circumstances. He's not that fighter that he used to be, for one, and he's up against an elite fighter, and he was able to cause Usyk problems at times. He just wasn't able to sustain that method for long enough to cause to win the fight. But I do think he fought the best fight that he could have fought, because another style may have seen him get knocked out.
I said the same thing. Like, we all keep talking about, yeah, Fury moves good for a guy his size. Yeah, Fury's supposed to be the best heavyweight in this era and all that, but he don't have the gas. And we already know those Ukrainian dudes, the Usyks, the Lomachenkos, they got a fucking infinitesimal gas tank. It's ridiculous how they could just maintain a certain pace throughout the duration of a fight. And right now, the Ukrainians is on top right now.
I mean, a lot of it is down to the fact that, you know, even when Usyk hurt Fury, Usyk didn't load up on any punches. He was like, when you're in that amateur style, a lot of it is about scoring punches. You know, you win most of the fights on landing punches, so they don't really care about
knockouts,
big power punches. They care about landing accumulative punches. After Fury gets rocked, Usyk is still touching him. He's not loading up on these big punches, and it helps to preserve stamina. You know, and I think that's just the style that they fight. I mean, I think the Fury's biggest issue was he had his dad and Javon Sugar Hill in the corner, and Andy Lee. He should have
Talk
chose.
to him.
He should have had one coach. I mean, bro, let's be honest. According to the judges, Fury lost by 1 round. According to the judges, 1 or 2 rounds. He lost by 1 or 2 rounds. In the 10th round, that would have meant that the fight's either even or Usyk is up by 1 round. If that's the case and Usyk's up by 1 round, you're thinking, I only need to win the 10th and 11th and 12th round. I advise everyone, including yourself, bro, go and listen to, I've watched the fight 3 times since then. Go and listen to that 10th round and listen to the corner instructions of Sugar Hill and John Fury. They're arguing about what style he should go in the next round with. Sugar Hill is trying to tell him to walk him down. His dad's trying to tell him to back off and box off the back foot. Go and listen. It's crazy. In the championship round, you got 2 coaches saying 2 completely different things.
Wow. And I said that when I noticed it, probably I think, what was it, around like 5 and 6, and I seen John, talk. I seen Sugar Hill standing over him talking, and then you see John in his ear talking. I don't know what was being said, but you see him getting instructions from 2 different people. That's dysfunction in the corner. It's not supposed to be like that, man. You gotta have one voice in the corner,
especially in the championship rounds. And proof and evidence of this is, and I don't know if Tyson Fury is telling the truth, but I'm going to take his word for it. He said at the end of the fight, he was told in his corner, or during the fight, he was told in his corner that he was up. So what?
By who?
By his corner. He was told by his corner that he was up. Go and listen to the post-fight press conference.
I know. What I'm saying, when I say by who, I know it's by the corner, but when I'm saying by who was it? Was it Sugar Hill that said it, or was it John?
I wouldn't know, but knowing both of their personalities, I would assume that it's John Fury. John Fury is more delusional than Sugar Hill, because in my opinion, when I listened to the corner in the 10th round, Javon Sugar Hill was very, very animated. He was telling him like, "Yo, like put pressure on this dude. Go forward, put pressure on this dude." John Fury is like, keep boxing, stick to your boxing. You can outbox this guy. I'm thinking, where have you watched this fight where he's outboxing Usyk? I haven't seen.
Me neither. I didn't see it. There was nothing about that fight where I could say Fury outboxed Alexander Usyk. Fury was not dictating the pace of that fight. He was not really controlling that fight. Did he have some success in the fight? Of course. But to say like he dominated that fight, he might have some cool rounds. But Usyk from ding round 1, Usyk was in that man's chest the whole entire time. The only time you saw Usyk really take a backward step from what I saw was when Fury hit him with that uppercut, and it was like, oh shit, I gotta reassess. And then once he reassessed, he wasn't getting caught with nothing stupid no more. And once Fury saw, okay, now I can't catch him with that no more, he didn't know what the fuck to do with Usyk anymore. He was pretty much a fish out of water at that point.
And did you realize how easy it was for Usyk to back Fury up against the ropes and into corners? I've never seen anyone back. Like, Fury's historically been quite easy to back into corners. I've seen people like Otto Wallin and like Schwartz back him up against the ropes. I've seen him back up against the ropes against pretty much poor fighters. But what he does is he finds it very easy to tie them up once they get him on the ropes. He wasn't able to tie up Usyk once. The only time he was able to tie up Usyk was center ring, never against the ropes. It was always center ring. And for me, I don't know what that was because of. I don't know what the game plan was. Some people are saying Fury came in too light. I don't know what the game plan, what the reason for that was, but I wouldn't advise. I mean, I wouldn't even advise him taking the fight in the rematch. I wouldn't advise him taking a rematch at all. I would actually advise him to retire.
Yeah, because he's not going to do shit with Usyk. Usyk knows who he is now. And Usyk knows what to do with Fury now. And Usyk is a cerebral type of guy when it comes to this fight game. So I think he's going to beat him worse the second time. Definitely. I think it's going to be worse.
Like, normally with rematches, it's either one person got it completely wrong in the first fight. Like, for example, let's look at like an Andy Ruiz AJ. You know, you get a fight, you get the game plan wrong, and then you get caught. It's over. That happens. But that wasn't what we saw on Saturday. What we saw on Saturday was Fury's best versus Usyk's best. You can't get better than that version of Fury is the best version of Fury you're gonna get. Like
Right.
he might get better slightly, but someone like a Usyk, they don't take wins like that and let it get to their head. You know, there's certain fighters who, when they win, it gets to their head. Usyk isn't one of those.
Right. And I already said that between now and October, how much better is Tyson Fury going to get when at this stage right now, this motherfucker's sitting there drinking beers, chilling, parlaying, relaxing. He's not in the gym. He's not trying to get better. He's not working on his stamina and his conditioning and his endurance. He's not working on none of those things. He's kicking back and relaxing right now. He's not probably going to start back really training until probably after the summertime. So he's going to spend this whole summer basically just getting bent and turned up.
I'm not convinced he takes the rematch, because as soon as the fight was over, he said he will take the rematch. But in the post-fight press conference when he was with Frank Warren, he said he's going to rest and come back and he will see what he will do after the fight. And he mentioned something that I found quite interesting. He said, I don't fight for money. I fight because I love it. The moment I stop loving this, that's the moment when I stop. For me, when I hear someone say that, they're just giving themselves an excuse to retire. I never really like, when the fight was over against Usyk said, plain and simple, I'm going to continue. Until I physically can't continue anymore, I'm gonna continue. Fury didn't say that, so right. that for me is more concerning. I would not be surprised if you see Fury either retire or just not take the rematch at all and maybe take like an AJ fight. I would not be surprised at all.
You think he'll still fight AJ at this stage?
There's a lot of money behind the AJ fight. I mean, there would have been more money if Usyk had lost to Fury, but there is still a lot of money in that AJ fight. Like, there is more money in that AJ fight than there is in a Fury Usyk rematch, in my opinion.
That's just true. Them Saudis gonna pay for that shit. They gonna cash out for that. So, do you think that there's a reason why they've avoided Anthony Joshua so far up until this point? Because I mean,
what do you mean?
Like, no one was really talking about fighting AJ in the sense of like they was really going to do it. They put AJ down for years. AJ ain't this, he's robotic, he's all these things, right? And even with Anthony Joshua having 3 losses right now, he's still worth more money than Tyson. Well, he still can garnish more money than Tyson Fury in a fight.
Yeah, that's correct.
So, do you think that he'll fight Joshua out of desperation? Because up until this point, he had shown no intention of really fighting AJ. And do you think now, with him having taken this loss, that it's more prone for him to actually do it because that fight makes, I guess, as they say, more sense now?
I mean, I'll give you an example. When Prince Naseem, when he got beat for the first time, he didn't take that loss at WoW at all, and pretty much he took one fight after that and retired. I mean, another
when he lost to Barrera?
Yeah, exactly. Another example of that is George Foreman. George Foreman beats Norton, he beats Ali, he loses to he beats Fraser and he beats Norton, and he loses to Ali, and straight after that he takes a fight back, and then after that fight he retires. A lot of people who build this false sense of security in their head about their being the greatest heavyweight of all time or the greatest fight ever. I mean, Prince Naseem used to say, Allah will never make me lose. I mean, a lot of people who build this invincibility in their head, they're constantly searching for confirmation from somewhere else. They're constantly searching for it. And the moment that they lose, like Usyk has lost to, Fury has lost to Usyk, and like how Foreman had lost to Ali, you just see them crumble. They just don't fight anymore. I mean, when did Foreman come out of retirement? What, 20 years later?
20, yeah, like 20 years later. Then
20 years later, like Prince Naseem never came out of retirement. Some people just don't take losses well, and I think Fury is one of those people. Fury is one of those people who I think it hasn't sunk into him yet that he's lost. It hasn't sunk into him yet that he is no longer this greatest man born from his mother and all of that crap. He's no longer that guy. That hasn't sunk into him. The moment that sinks into him, that's when you see him make drastic decisions. We're already talking about a person who himself has said he's mentally unstable. He said that
Right.
himself. So nobody can predict what he's gonna do when that reality hits him. When that reality hits him, when he realizes I am no longer the best heavyweight, nobody knows what reaction that's gonna happen. No one knows, and I think that's a big concerning thing because we've seen this guy reach the top and fall off the rails, start drinking and taking coke and all of that when he fought Klitschko. We don't know what's gonna happen now, and I genuinely feel like he's gonna retire.
I mean, it would make sense because it's either a Usyk rematch. Who else you gonna fight? Nobody's looking to see you fight Wilder for a fourth time, Fury. And at this stage, you didn't avoid an AJ fight, which I still think Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua at the O2 Arena would still sell out because of the because of both of them are pretty much Brits in their own right. And I feel like the Brits would love to see that fight, and I feel like it would sell over there. But everybody's so focused on selling in America. We got to sell in America, America, America. And what I hate about that narrative is boxing is a global sport, ladies and gentlemen. It is not geared to the United States of America. You have people like Monster Inoue over there in Japan killing, getting bread, getting guap.
Not to mention the amount of money that the Saudis are putting up in Saudi.
Come on, man. Talk
Bro,
to him.
The money that you're getting in. I mean, I'm a massive. I grew up on American boxing, so for me, most of my favorite fighters ever growing up was American. But I saw the switch a long time ago. I mean, America will always produce talent like a Tank or a Shakur Stevenson or Jaron Ennis. They're always going to produce that talent. Don't ever get that wrong. But in terms of attention and money, I mean, someone like a Tank, someone like a Canelo will be doing themselves a disservice if they didn't go to Saudi Arabia. I mean, they're pretty much giving out money for free. So, I mean, I do think Fury and AJ may fight, but I do think that there's the biggest concern for me is because DT3, you remember when it was AJ and Wilder who was supposed to be number one and number two?
Oh, of course.
Then it was Andy Ruiz and Wilder, and then AJ came back and beat him back, and then it was Fury and AJ, and then it was Usyk and AJ. I mean, Usyk and Fury. We've now put an end to this debate of who the best heavyweight is right now. We've now put an end to that debate. You know, some people said Wilder, some people said Fury, some people said AJ. The truth is, it's now Usyk.
It's Usyk.
The issue is he's at the top, and I can't see anyone on the come up in the heavyweight division that I can see that I would put favorite or even against Usyk right now. And it's quite, now it's all over. It's quite boring. I kind of loved
the suspense of it, like
I kind of love the debates that everyone was having. No, Wilder's the best. No, Fury's the best. No, AJ's like now. Usyk is head and shoulders above everyone. When you get rid of the dispute, when it's undisputed, no longer there is the fanfare and the debate and the unknown. And boxing fans and sports fans, they love the unknown. They love the fact that they don't know who's going to win. They love the fact that they don't know who's the best. And I think that's what we're going to miss. And I know a lot of people aren't seeing it right now, but it sunk into me yesterday when I was like, I really don't know what I want to see next in the heavyweight division.
Right. Because we already saw Usyk AJ twice. Usyk won that. We've already seen Usyk and Fury. We already saw the outcome of that. These are like the top guys in the division. Usyk has already fought. And now they're saying that based on this Hrgovic and Dubois fight, is supposed to whoever wins Usyk if the Fury rematch doesn't happen or whatnot. So if you get the winner out of Philippe Hrgovic and Daniel Dubois, like, are you interested in seeing that fight? If you was to see a Hrgovic and Usyk, what would you think? And what do you think about a Daniel Dubois Usyk rematch?
I mean, I'll be honest. I'll be honest. Like, it's a bit of a like a come down. You know, when like you've been built up so high. You watched AJ and Usyk and Fury and Usyk, and to get a Usyk and Hrgovic, I mean, it's just a bit of a fall from grace. I mean, I'll be honest, it is one of the fights that I would still watch, but it doesn't have that same wow factor to me. I mean, I would much prefer. Um, I wouldn't want to see Usyk and Dubois rematch because I just feel like Dubois, his shortcomings are so obvious. I can't see that ever changing, and I can't see it ever being a competitive fight. Bro? I want to be honest, and I want to say something. I'm probably gonna get cooked in your comment section, but I'll be so honest. I'm just gonna say it. If Beterbiev walks through Bivol, like walks through him, like knocks him out in 3 rounds, I don't think that's gonna happen. But if it does happen, and he just knocks him out in 2 to 3 rounds, the fight that I actually want to see, and I know it's crazy, bro, but I want to see Beterbiev versus Usyk. I've seen, and I'm at
the amateurs. You talking about because Beterbiev beat Usyk in the amateurs?
Exactly. I watched their amateur fights. And in 3 of those fights, Usyk won 2, Beterbiev won 1. But in the one that Usyk won in the Olympics, Usyk got dropped in that fight by a body shot. And for me, when you look at the game plan that is used to sustain attack against Usyk, Beterbiev has those attributes. And I know people are going to say, well, one's a heavyweight, one's a light heavyweight. But Usyk isn't a big heavyweight, neither does he use his size. And we've also seen in the past guys like Michael Mora, Spinks, Roy Jones Jr., they've moved to heavyweight and had success. I'm not saying he will beat Usyk, but it's a fight that I would definitely want to see. If he deals with Bivol quite easily, only if.
Only if he beats Bivol easy, you would say promote that fight. Well, what I would say about people coming over to Saudi, I don't know if I'm sure you probably did see it, Shane, but for those that didn't see it, Gervonta Tank Davis came forth and said there's no reason for him to go. This is his words, people, not mine. But Tank said there's no reason for him to go over to the Saudis because the amount of money that he would make with them, he can make that here. So there's no reason for him to go over there thinking that supposedly he would make more money when he can make that same amount of money in the States. I personally think that's a bunch of cockamamie bullshit. I think Tank is worried about the judges. I think a lot of these cats that is over here that do not want to fight globally are worried about the judges not being in their favor. I don't think the money is the issue. I think it's the judging. What you think, Shane?
I think it's because a lot of these guys have been, and I'm a massive fan of Al Heyman's business model, but a lot of these guys have been lured into Al Heyman as a character, and he probably is a very good person. I don't know him personally, but they do it to the detriment of their career. The reason why what Tank is talking about is completely rubbish is because in America, you get paid based on how much you generate. A lot of these fighters get paid on back end. Depending on the amount of pay-per-view buys you do, depends on how much you get paid out. The difference is Saudis don't pay to make money back. When they gave Fury 80 million to fight Usyk, they didn't give him 80 million to fight Usyk because they thought he was going to generate 80 million. They gave him 80 million because they just have money to spend, and they don't put on fights with the intention to make money. So the fact that he thinks he could make more money in the United States of America, the truth is DT3, he hasn't been given an offer, and the moment he gets an offer from Turkey, he will know that there is no way. And I really do hope Tank does make more money in America, because a lot of the fights that I do want to see is with him actually in America, like whether it's Shakur, Devin, or Lomachenko. I do want to see him fight these guys. But truth is, Tank, I put a post out the other day. I said Tank is an amazing fighter, probably one of the best fighters in this generation, but intellectually is challenged because he makes statements without a lot of intelligence behind that. And that's not even a disrespect to him, it's just a fact. When he says stuff, I genuinely don't believe he thinks before he talks. And I'm a massive Tank fan. I've never watched a Tank fight and wanted him to lose. But he just doesn't say things and thinks before he speaks. He just doesn't.
So you fucked me up when you said 80 million.
Yeah.
So you mean to tell me Fury got 80 mil tickets for that shit?
Yeah. 80 million to fight Usyk. Well, that's what was reported.
But the thing is, from an American standpoint, because y'all American fan base tend to think y'all can't make no real money outside of America. And my man Shane just let y'all know that it has been reported that Tyson Fury has made up to $80 million goddamn dollars to fight Usyk.
I mean, Eddie Hearn said, and this is what Eddie Hearn said. I never said it. Eddie Hearn said that when Wilder and AJ was signed to fight, they both got offered 60 million apiece. Where's Wilder fighting next? He's fighting in Saudi. When Wilder and AJ signed the fight, they both signed contracts for 60 million. I never said that. Eddie Hearn said that. You can go. There's an interview that he done it with a famous like sports channel in the UK, like a talk show, and they asked him how much did the Saudis offer for Fury versus AJ? He said they're both going to get 100 million each. I will send you the link where he says it. Now he might be just talking cap. I don't know. He might be capping, but that's what he said in the interview. So I'm only going to take his word for it.
But even with that, the fact that that number was distributed through the media, you know that they're making money. So when you hear these American fighters say that they're not going to make the money, they're just using a reason to justify why they're ducking the fighter. So it's not the realms of what these fighters say that they're not going to make no money. They just not trying to fight overseas or whatever the case may be.
There's someone in your comment section. I think his name is Stop Motion MMA. Shout out to you. He said, I heard Fury got 100 million. So I could be wrong, but I definitely heard reported he got eight. But
that's still a fucking gargantuan amount of money. Love that word, gargantuan. Rarely do I get to use that word in a sentence. But that's a lot of fucking money, bro.
Didn't Fury get 40 million against Ngannou? I know Ngannou got 12 million for that fight.
Ngannou made more money fighting Fury than he probably made about half of his MMA career.
Maybe entire MMA career, because he fought Fury, then he fought AJ. Bro, that dude.
Oh shit, you right. Oh shit, you right. And that AJ money is big. AJ money is long money.
Exactly. So I mean, I won't lie to you, bro. If Saudis are doing a lot of good things for boxing, but I mean, I just hope they don't lose the core foundations of what the sport's about.
And how do you think they could possibly do that? In what way could they do that?
I mean, the things that I'm hearing, there's some things that I'm hearing that I'm not necessarily liking, and I feel like sometimes because you don't know the sport, like I don't think Turkey Al Sheikh, people say he knows the sport, he doesn't. He's almost trying to create like a fantasy league, where we have a pound for pound list. He's trying to make these pound for pound fights actually happen. I'm hearing Crawford versus Canelo. I mean, like that. Yeah. Do we really want to see a fight like that? I'm hearing.
I don't care to see it personally.
A new way versus Tank. I mean, we're talking about guys having.
We was gonna get to that. Because he said something about a new way. But yeah, keep cooking. We gonna get to that.
Like, these are fantasy fights that because he has a lot of money, he's actually trying to make. But again, I hope like it's common sense just starts to prevail, because like it will get to the point where we're gonna start seeing welterweights fight light heavyweights. What we're gonna see. Bud versus Beterbiev. I mean, at some stage we have to draw a line. I'm thinking we saw Charlo versus Canelo, and Charlo was undisputed at 154.
Now he's retired.
I mean, I'm saying, like he may have been a better fighter than Canelo, but he's not a bigger fighter than Canelo, and size matters to a certain degree. He may have been like, if Inoue gets knocked out by a Tank, it doesn't mean that Tank's a better fighter than Inoue. It just means he's bigger than Inoue. At some stage, size is gonna matter. You can put Inoue in there with Charles Martin. Charles Martin's gonna beat Inoue. He's not a better fighter. He's just bigger. And at some stage, that's gonna count. That's gonna actually matter.
Mm-hmm. What I was gonna say about the Inoue thing was, why is Tank calling out or talking about fighting a guy who is a 126 pounder, and Tank's supposed to be a 35 pounder who Leonard Ellerbe has also came forth and said Tank can make 130 and all that shit. So who has been gunning for an Inoue Tank Davis fight? Like, who is screaming and hammering for that shit?
Bro, I don't know if you saw a clip, and anyone follow me on Instagram. You'll be able to see some of the clips that I've spoken about some of these stuff that recently. But I heard Andre Rozier, former coach of Danny Jacobs, former coach of Andrade and Derevianchenko, and I also heard Virgil Hunter, who used to coach Andre Ward. They both said Inoue can't be number one until he sees Tank. I mean, I don't get that. I can't see how. I mean, there's a lot of people who are pushing for that fight. I mean, Tank was even asked about it by Eddie Setback. I mean, like, at some stage, we have to just be smart. Like, a guy who didn't start at 122, he literally just moved to 122 last year when he fought Fulton. He moved to 122 June last year. So he hasn't even been at 122 long enough. He actually started his career at, was it 112?
112, yeah, thank you. I was
112,
112, 116, but yeah.
And now you're asking him to go all the way up to 135. I mean, it doesn't make sense. What are you actually asking? And I do understand. He's beating everyone at 122 so easily. You want to give him a challenge. Of course, give him a challenge, but there has to be a threshold. At some stage, you got to draw the line and say, no, this is a bit too far. And I see boxing right now where we're not actually letting common sense prevail. We're going to let a 59-year-old Mike Tyson fight Jake Paul. Even if Mike Tyson knocks Jake Paul out, in reality, that shouldn't be a sanctioned fight. Even if he does knock him out, like Mike Tyson was getting knocked out by Williams and McBride over 15, 20 years ago. Like, even if he wins, and I wish Tyson beats Jake Paul, but it shouldn't be sanctioned. At some stage, you got to just draw the line of some of these fights that we're seeing.
It's honestly, we all know as hardcore fans, it's nothing but a money grab. You only want to fight a guy like Inoue because you know that name is going to bring in dollars. It's going to bring in revenue. You're not fighting Monster Inoue because he's really a prestigious guy. He has something that you want. If I was Monster Inoue, even if I fought at 135, and I'm going to say this and I'm going to piss people off, I would not give a shit about a Gervonta Tank Davis fight, and I'm going to tell you why. What does Gervonta Tank Davis has to offer me for my legacy?
That's a good point. That is a good point because that's what you're trading your legacy at this point. That's a really good point.
I'm already making bread. I'm already making money. I got money. My wife is good. My kids is good.
And you've already made history. Sorry to cut you off.
So I've already been 2 division undisputed. I've done it. Tank, you've won 1 world title. You have nothing right now at 135 pounds that I won't. You have nothing. What do you have? Oh, you ain't trying to get paid. I got money, so you can't get me with the money aspect. So what do you have, Gervonta? Nothing. You do nothing for my legacy, bro. Win a world title, unify the division, and I might think about seeing you, because you have something of value.
I'll be honest, Inoue, and I'm not Inoue, sorry, Tank, and this is going to piss people off even more. For all the talent that Tank has, and I think he has pound for pound talent, he may be, and he may go down as one of the biggest underachievers any boxer's ever lived. And I don't mean in terms of finance. I mean in terms of accomplishments. Because Tank, Floyd, and this is what he says all the time. If you ever ask Floyd, why am I the best fighter that's ever lived? The first thing Floyd says is, well, I fought the most world champions. The truth is, Tank hasn't fought a world champion in 6 fights. So following the lineage of Tank Davis right now, we will never see Tank unify a division. We will never see Tank. Tank doesn't even fight world champions. So he may go down by the definition of Floyd of a great fighter. If we're going to use Floyd's definition of what he deems to be successful,
right,
he will go down as one of the biggest underachievers ever. Even if you say Tank Davis is better than Devin Haney, and he will knock Devin Haney out in 1 round. Devin Haney has already surpassed what Tank has ever achieved in his entire boxing career. And I don't want to talk about money. I mean in terms of actual boxing accolades.
Actual boxing accolades and accomplishments, right?
He's beaten more world champions. He's won more belts. He's a multiple weight world champion. That's just a fact. It's not that I prefer Devin or Tank. I'm just stating a fact.
Right. I mean, Devin is a former undisputed. I mean, he basically unified the division, undisputed in the division, all this shit. Tank has only won one world title. And it's like, how many times do we have to tell you? The only time he won a world title was at 130 when he fought Jose Pedraza. That's it. That's it. And that was how long ago, bro?
I mean, they will give you the fact that he won these regular and vacant belts, but I mean, I don't really count those at all because he didn't beat a world champion to win it, and it's a regular title. Regular titles don't really count to me. So you're 100% right. I mean,
so basically, he's fighting for. This is what I was telling people. So Tank is winning belts to put him in position for the world title belts, and he's not fighting for them. That's what you get the regulars and the supers that puts you in position for that. Correct? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Facts. I mean, when he moved to 140 and he fought Barrios and he became a WBA regular world champion, it's funny because when at that same time Josh Taylor was undisputed champion, and Josh Taylor had a press conference in the UK, and I was at that press conference. You can go on my Instagram, you'll see it. And I asked Josh Taylor, well, Tank just won a world title at 140, regular world title. So in reality, he's in line. And Josh Taylor said, yeah, he will take that fight. But this is the thing. Tank will, as you said, put himself in a position to become regular world champion, but not fight the world champion. And it was the same when he was WBA regular world champion and Lomachenko had the full title. He didn't fight Lomachenko. He will put himself in a position to fight for a world title, but not fight the world champion. And that's not me siding with one dude and not siding with another. It's just a fact. He didn't fight the world champions at 40, 35. He didn't.
And I wonder why. Why did you not? Tank?
I have no idea.
Like, there is no reason. But well, based on the Mayweather analogy, it probably wasn't no money. The fight didn't make sense. That's probably what it was. The fight didn't make no sense. So, and then you got dudes like doing the same shit with him, and we gonna segue into this little fucking
just before
performance-enhancing, drug-using motherfucking Ryan Garcia, who's on the same shit, bro. Different toilet.
Just before you get to that, and I want to get to that Ryan Garcia topic as well, but just before, like, that proves to me that you're not a star of boxing. Let me tell you why. When Anthony Joshua was a star of boxing in England, he could have fought anyone and sold 90,000. He fought Povetkin and sold 90,000. He fought Parker and sold 75,000. It didn't matter who you were. He could do it. When Inoue goes to Japan, it doesn't matter who the opponent is. He's selling 30, 40,000 every single time. If you are a star of your sport in your country, Tank should be selling 50,000 against anyone. If you are a star in your country, you should be selling 50,000, 30,000 against anyone.
And you should be able to sell anywhere. You should be able to go to Vegas, Texas, New York, Brook. You should be able to Florida. You should be able to sell anywhere in the States. It shouldn't just be Vegas, in my opinion.
Of course.
You know, so like you don't see AJ just selling out in the O2 Arena.
No, this dude went everywhere he went everywhere in the United Kingdom. Look at further proof of this is Ricky Hatton, which is was a real boxing star. Manny Pacquiao, they had 15,000-20,000 people flying from their country to go to America to watch them fight. Pacquiao and Ricky Hatton. When have you ever seen any so-called American? Ryan Garcia, as big as people say, they're not flying from America to Saudi or to the UK to watch Ryan Garcia fight. They're not flying from Texas or Baltimore to the UK to watch Tank fight. There was 20,000 people who flew from Philippines to watch Pacquiao. That is what you call a superstar.
That's what you call us, and that's what you call a loyal fan base, right there. When you're willing to fly thousands or hundreds of miles to see your guy, that's a loyal fan base right there. And I'm finna play the devil's advocate because it's something that I've been hearing every time we see these big fights. And Shane, you've heard this shit too. So since Usyk did what he just did just this past Saturday, is Usyk now the face of boxing?
I wouldn't say he's the face of boxing, But in my opinion, he is the best boxer in this era. And I know people are going to say, what about Terence Crawford? What about Inoue? Yes, Terence Crawford and Inoue definitely have a claim to be the best boxers in this era. But when you, and I'm so glad you brought this up, because Americans never really bring this into like consideration. When you consider the fact that he was an all-time great amateur. He has probably arguably the best amateur record of any big man in history. He's an Olympic gold medalist. He won everything in the Olympic. Like Terence Crawford is an all-time great professional. He isn't an all-time great amateur. Inoue is an all-time great professional. He isn't an all-time great amateur. Usyk is an all-time great amateur, then an all-time great professional.
So
and
he's just an all-time great boxer.
Period. And when you all, the thing for me that just puts everything, like solidifies everything, is when Terence Crawford became undisputed champion, and I can't give him any more credit than I have. He beat Errol Spence, and Errol Spence was seen as the best in the division. But nobody was going into that Terence Crawford fight, Terence Crawford and Errol Spence fight, saying it's an 80-20, 70-30. People were saying 50-50, 60-40. When you went into that first AJ fight, it was 70-30 AJ. Everyone was saying AJ was the favorite. Everyone. He lost that fight, and then he rematched again. AJ was still the favorite again. And then when he fought Fury, Fury was the favorite. Other than the Spence fight, which I still wouldn't even call Crawford underdog in that fight, Crawford has never been an underdog in a fight. Neither has Inoue. Usyk has been an underdog in multiple fights where people have said he's going to lose, and he's won.
Especially in the heavyweight division.
So for me, again, if you want to say Crawford's the best, I have no problem with you saying that. If you want to say Inoue, I have no problem with you saying that. But for me, if you were to ask me, I'm saying Usyk's number one.
And what's funny that you say that anybody, and this is for all you fans out there, because I saw him say this, that you have Terence Crawford number one pound for pound. Guess who Terence Crawford got on his number one pound for pound?
Usyk.
Usyk is Terence Crawford number one pound for pound fighter. So your favorite fighter is Alexander Usyk.
I mean, bro, I can't. You know how crazy this is? Like, this guy became undisputed champion in 2 weight classes in less than 20 fights. Less than 25 fights.
And still undefeated.
And is still undefeated. He doesn't even have a draw on his resume.
Yeah.
He doesn't even have a draw. Like, and not only does he not have a draw, I mean, in my opinion, a lot of people are saying that Fury was a great fight. I don't even think the Fury fight was as competitive as people think.
I don't either.
It was a good fight, but at no stage did I think Fury was going to stop Usyk. I thought Usyk was going to stop Fury. At no stage did I think that Fury was going to stop Usyk. At no stage. There wasn't a single stage. Like, Usyk, on my scorecard, he had won. He won 7 rounds with a knockdown. I know some people said Usyk won 8. I get that. I mean, there was a swing round in round 7, which I just gave to Fury because I knew the judges was going to give to Fury.
The judges is swing rounds. They go to the champ automatic.
Exactly.
Or the favorite, as they say.
Yeah, so I knew that was going to happen. But moving it forward to Ryan Garcia. I mean, what were you going to say? Sorry.
Well, I was, but let me get to, because I let y'all know I answer questions. I don't really touch on statements too much in the chat, so forgive me if I don't acknowledge your statement. That's why I show it up and I show it on my panel here. But LJ has a question. He says, what are your takes on Fury's corner, his father and Sugar Hill all giving instructions, both different? Does that affect him? Me and Shane did touch on that earlier. I'm going to speak on it real quick before we talk about Ryan Garcia. It is detrimental. When you are in the corner, you should only have one voice. You should not have 2 people telling you 2 different things. You got one guy in Sugar Hill telling you to go forward, advance, and apply pressure. And then you got your father here in your ear telling you you need to stay on the back foot and box and be pretty. And I don't want to say that Sugar Hill's advice was bad, but I do think having 2 people voices in your ear in the corner is terrible, and I do believe that did affect him long term in the fight. What you think, Shane?
No, I'm 100%. I'm in 100% agreement. Like two voices in two different. If it's two of the same voices, it still can be an issue. But two different opinions, especially one of them being your father. You like one of them being your actual father. That for me is the more concerning thing. Like when you got your father speaking to you, you got. I mean, he's pretty much the authority figure in your life. You know,
Yeah.
so it's quite difficult.
And he did what his father told him. If you look at the fight, he really just did what his dad told him to do.
Literally, that's a fact. That is literally a fact. He'd literally just done what his father done, and his dad wasn't the head coach. You might as well have you might as well done the Bill Haney and made your father the head coach. You might as well have done that.
Yeah. You should have just let John take over as the coach. You just get Tyson in shape. When the fight comes, you let John do all the talking and shit like that. But Ryan Garcia has tested positive. What's up with my boy? I see you, baby. But with Ryan Garcia testing positive again, like your B sample came back, like, bro.
Wait, so did his B sample come back positive as well?
Right, it came back positive. So you're caught, bro. You caught.
When did it happen? I must have missed that.
Yeah, they said his well, I saw Bill Haney come forth and say your B sample came back positive, and we finna put a foot up your ass and all that extra shit. So I was like, oh shit, the nigga B sample came back positive too. Like, oh shit, he really just is dirty, and he's still sitting there. And the only comeback by Ryan Garcia fans is, well, he still beat Devin Haney. It didn't matter. He still whooped him. Or even if he wasn't dirty, he still would have beat Devin, so it didn't matter. So it's like, it's okay that Ryan Garcia came in 3 pounds overweight, got to rehydrate, and was proven to be fighting dirty. And now this man saying he don't care if he gets a permanent ban from boxing, he can go start his own league somewhere. Like, where the fuck do these people come from?
I mean, I don't know. My boy says this all the time. Do you remember a few years ago, DT3, when Ryan Garcia took a hiatus from boxing, claiming mental issues? Do you remember that?
Yeah, your mic went out. Bro. I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I hear you now.
I said, do you remember a couple years ago, when Ryan Garcia took a hiatus from boxing, claiming mental issues?
Oh yes, we all remember that.
Let me take you on a journey.
Yeah, sprinkle me, please.
Do you also recall Ryan Garcia saying he's been drinking in the lead up to the Devin Haney fight?
Yes, sir.
Do you also remember him smoking in the lead up to the Devin Haney fight?
Yeah.
So my question to you and everyone out in the world, what mentally unstable alcoholic drug addict would you trust to tell you the truth? There is not a mentally ill drug addict that I would trust. There is not a mentally ill alcoholic that I would trust. So why are Ryan Garcia fans, and I'm not calling him a alcoholic, he's calling himself an alcoholic.
And that's the fucked up part about it. All you doing is calling him what he called himself.
That's what he called him. He said he was drinking in the lead up to a fight. The only way you're going to be drinking in the lead up to a fight is if you're alcoholic. He said he was smoking in the lead up to a fight. He said he had mental issues. So name me, DT3, you grew up in a much rougher area than I did. Name me a dude from the street that you know that's mentally ill, that drinks and probably on narcotics, that you will trust to tell you the truth. There is, I don't know what.
It's none.
So why will Ryan Garcia fans take up? He's a self-admitted mentally ill alcoholic. Why are these people taking his word for things? I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Because he was exposing Diddy and the elites, and he was claiming the love of Christ. So we gonna dismiss all that because he claimed he loved Jesus, but light and dark don't operate in the same place. You can't get sweet and bitter water from the same fountain. I don't want to start preaching on niggas, but still, like, Ryan, you capping. You a disgrace. You are a parasite to the sport of boxing. You are a disgrace. You're the same person that said belts don't mean nothing. Hell, Sean O'Malley came forward and said belts don't mean nothing until after he won it. But you spent all this time building your profile and your name up, talking about how you want to win the belt on your fucking podcast and shit, just for you to win the belt, to say that you bigger than the belt. Where the fuck do these niggas think that there's no fighter that's bigger than the sport? No fighter. There's fighters that think they could come close, like a Mike Tyson, but even Mike Tyson isn't bigger than boxing. He's not bigger than boxing. And people quick to say that, oh, I'm bigger than boxing, I'm bigger than boxing, I'm bigger than this, I'm bigger than the belts. So you mean to tell me that's like Tom Brady coming forth saying he's bigger than every Super Bowl ring he's ever won?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't make any. I mean, Ryan Garcia, it's got to the state. I actually genuinely feel like he only becomes relevant because he has a lot of fans. Let's be honest, he has a lot of loyal fans, but he doesn't have a single boxing fan that is his fan. Like he doesn't. None of his fans are boxing fans. None of his fans, and the reason why none of his fans will be boxing fans is because you can't watch the sport of boxing and like what he does in the ring or outside of the ring. When you have professionals like Jaron Ennis or Usyk or Nui or Beterbiev or Bivol or Canelo, when you actually have or Benavidez, when you have professional fighters who do what they do, you can't see Ryan Garcia and say, yeah, that's my guy who I'm going to support. There is no grounds for that.
It's no grounds for that at all. At all. Now, Stop Motion MMA says, I thought we getting a B sample back on Wednesday.
We're getting a B sample on Wednesday as well, the 22nd. That's what I heard.
That's what I was thought too, but I'm just speaking on what I saw Bill Haney say on Instagram.
Yeah, I know, but the thing is, you got some. I saw that as well. Bill Haney, Bill Haney. I find this guy so entertaining, but I realize I have to take what he says with like
a grain of salt.
Yeah, I can't really take everything he says to the truth. I think he's done. I think he's very entertaining, but I just think I want to see what happens on Wednesday. I mean, rarely is the B sample different to the A sample, but who's to know? I mean, who is really to know?
Well, what I think when it comes to Floyd, Stop Motion, I think Floyd doesn't want no one to outdo him. Floyd only has one major record in the boxing record books. To be honest, he has one record, only one. He has beaten the most world champions in 23, but he doesn't have the most fights. He doesn't have the most wins as a fighter. I had all this stuff jotted down, written down. I would have to go get it. I don't feel like going to get it right now, and I have a video showing you every major marquee record in the sport of boxing, and Floyd has only broke one. So to say that Floyd is the best of all time, in my opinion, in my humble personal opinion, my favorite fighter is Sugar Ray Robinson and Muhammad Ali. Those are my favorites. But in my opinion, the best of all time is Joe Louis. In my opinion. I was to say that, it's either Joe Louis or Sugar Ray Robinson to me.
I mean, me and my brother was having a debate about Joe Louis yesterday. I think when I don't know. I think Floyd definitely has a claim when you look at attributes. You know, when you look at specific attributes, and it's very difficult to quantify. You know, I mean, someone's left foot versus another person's left foot, or someone's head movement versus another person's head movement. Very difficult to quantify. But I do agree with the fact that a lot of, I mean, growing up, Floyd was my favorite fighter. So a lot of people who speak about Floyd, again, I've basically said the same thing, and I've echoed those thoughts. As I've grown older and I've watched more fights, I've learned to appreciate other things within boxing. One of the things that I appreciate the most is becoming, obviously, the best in the division. I think one of the most important things is becoming undisputed and being the best in the division is two different things. When Crawford became undisputed at 140, he was the best in the division. When Canelo became undisputed at 68, there was still Benavidez. A lot of Floyd's career, we can pretty much pinpoint most parts of his career there was always a fighter left that we wanted to see him fight. And it's not his fault. Sometimes, like, you're always going to get, there's always a guy for you to fight. But the fact that there was a clear priority for Floyd, and that was money fights. It was never what the fans wanted to see. It was always what generated the most money. And
Even
that
when he was Pretty Boy?
at Pretty Boy Floyd, he was a great fighter. I mean, Pretty Boy Floyd, I can't criticize that version of Floyd Mayweather, and that's the version of Floyd Mayweather that I say is the best fighter that I've ever
That's my
seen.
guy. I fucks with Pretty Boy.
In my living days, he's the greatest fighter I've ever seen. I wasn't alive when Robinson and Ali. If someone was to ask me who's the greatest fighter of all time, I'd probably say it would be between Floyd, Ali. I mean, I know people will say Robinson. Again, Robinson's so before my time. I don't really like to base my opinion and compare different eras. I'd probably say Floyd, Ali. I mean, I know people will say Joe Louis as well, but it'd be probably between Floyd and Ali for me.
Right. And the reason why I picked Joe Louis, one of the reasons why, is because of the era he fought in, the fighters that he beat. He fought everybody, was undisputed, first black heavyweight champion since, I think, what was it, Jack Johnson?
Jack Johnson.
Yeah, and he broke barriers. And he was a cultural icon. He was a military man. He got out the game, came back, won the world title again, beat Max Schmeling. Just a couple of major dudes, James J. Braddock.
Edward Charles.
Yeah, like he fought some guys of that time, and he beat a lot of guys in that time.
Did he fight Jersey Joe Walker as well?
Yeah, I think he did fight Jersey Joe, and he got his ass beat by Rocky though.
Yeah, but he was about 166.
But I think for what Joe did, not only for boxing, but what he did for African Americans in that era. And the fact that he was successful, I dub him as such.
Can I ask you a question? Can you give me your top 5 heavyweights of all time?
My top 5 heavyweights: Joe Louis, Jack Johnson. No order. Order. Joe Louis, Jack Johnson, Ali, Ernie Shavers. I love me some Ernie Shavers. Ernie Shavers and Joe Frazier. Those are my favorites.
Your favorites. Who would you say are the best heavyweights of all time?
The best?
I'm a massive Joe Frazier fan.
I'm gonna just go off of skill alone. So I would say Joe Frazier, Ali, Joe Frazier, Ali, Joe Louis. I don't really want to say Jack Johnson because I've looked at some of Jack Johnson's fights and there was nothing skillfully about that, in my opinion. It was just some big nigga just beating the shit out of people.
I mean,
I like Larry Holmes' jab. I think Larry Holmes had the best jab of all time, or one of the best jabs of all time. Larry
Holmes is, if you were to ask my favorite heavyweight of all time, is Larry Holmes. But,
okay.
But if you were to ask me who my top 5 heavyweights of all time in terms of actual skill, skill, I would say Ali, Joe Louis, again, not in any particular order. Ali, Joe Louis, in my opinion, Larry Holmes, Lennox Lewis. And this is one of the things where I'm actually going to be honest. In terms of what they done in the sport, I will put Holyfield there. And I know people will disagree, but this is the thing. Sometimes you're not defined by your wins, but you're defined by your losses as well as wins. Like Joe Frazier, for me, he's more defined by his losses than his wins. Yes, he beat Ali, but if you think about it, Joe Frazier's a great fighter in his losses as well. And you think about Evander Holyfield, and you think about the people who he fought. Forget who he beat, but he left no stone unturned in his era. And I feel like it is it's a very underrated accomplishment to go in, because we don't see it now in boxing. You know, there isn't a fighter in this sport right now that anyone can name that I feel has left every stone unturned other than Usyk. Because even Crawford, people are still saying I want to see him fight Boots.
Fight Boots. Yeah, it's just like it's like you can never really win, because it was like first it was with Crawford, it was like, okay, he can't. It was so many stipulations. Let's just go through them all. First, he was too small for the division. Okay, he went from being too small for the division to now all of a sudden he got to fight Boots Ennis. He beats Errol Spence, and now it's like, okay, now he got to fight Boots. Then Errol Spence come forward, say he got an eye injury. Now it's like, oh, he beat Errol because Errol eye was fucked up. Errol went into the fight with a fucked up eye. So they always try to dumb down. If you're not the favorite, they're going to dumb down every win. That's like if for whatever reason, I'm going to play devil's advocate. If Monster Inoue said, okay, Tank, I'll fight you at 130. And for whatever reason, let's just play for debate's sake. Let's just say Inoue beats Tank. Do you know the type of shit they're going to say about Inoue? They're going to start saying he was juicing. They're going to say he was cheating. They're going to say the fight should be in America if it was in Japan. And if it was in America and they have they ain't going to have no Japanese judges. Or if they have a Japanese judge, they're going to say the Japanese judge is the reason why he won.
DT3, let me show you how crazy this is. If Inoue fought Tank and they said we'll fight at a catch rate of 134 pounds and Inoue had to move all the way up to 134 and Tank just had to go to 134, they will say if Inoue won, Tank was weight drained for 1 pound.
Talk to him.
What I've realized, when people have a fighter that's lost and they support that fighter, they are looking for a reason to make sense of what's just happened. Everybody needs a coping mechanism. When you lose, because everybody who supports their fighter, they can't envision seeing their fighter lose. So when their mind has been shocked, they need something to make things make sense. Like when Wilder got knocked out by Fury, people needed something to make sense. They needed something to make sense. So creating a scenario made it make sense for them. Like when Devin Haney lost to Ryan Garcia, he couldn't fathom losing to Ryan Garcia. The fact that Ryan Garcia failed a drug test, it made it all make sense to him. It made it all make sense. That's why I lost. Everybody needs a that's why I lost. Fury is currently searching for a that's why I lost. He's looking for it right now.
Yeah, I lost because it's a war in the Ukraine.
Exactly. Everybody needs that. And fans need that as well. If Tank lost to Inoue, fans need that's why Tank lost. They will just need it. I've never, ever, ever, in my years of watching boxing, it hasn't been that long, but I've never seen a diehard fan of a fighter go, you know what? He lost because he was the better man. I rarely ever hear that. I always hear excuses. It's always an excuse. There's always a reason.
It's always a false justification. It's like, you lost. You can't just take the L. Wilder lost. It was a glove gate. When Errol Spence lost, oh, his eye was messed up. It's just all these excuses. The retinas and all that. It's just all these excuses why, okay, people lose. I see more excuses about fighters that lose in boxing than any combat sport on the planet. I don't see it in MMA like that. I don't see it in kickboxing like that, if at all. So it's just like, and then the whole thing about the hard fight aspect, like too many hard fights. I watch kickboxing, bro. Them dudes fight hard fight after hard fight after hard fight after hard fight. And these dudes got 300, 400, 200 fights and shit. It is ridiculous that these fighters are saying, and they're getting paid way more money, and they still won't fight the best because they're scared to lose.
Nowadays, bro, I used to think it was that. I used to think people don't want to fight the best because they're scared to lose. Nowadays, I don't even think it's that. I genuinely believe that, because I asked myself, what is really the difference between, let's say, Ali, Joe Frazier, Foreman, Norton era, where we saw the best fight the best, and nowadays, AJ, Usyk, Fury, and Wilder?
It's the money, in my opinion.
It's really the difference. And the truth is, bro, it really does. But one, it does boil down to obviously money. But in my opinion, a lot of these guys who fight aren't natural fighters. Now, when I'm saying they aren't natural fighters, AJ by nature isn't a natural fighter. He hasn't been fighting since he was 5, 6, 7 years old. A lot of,
Oh, okay.
a lot of these guys genuinely don't understand the concept of what a sport is. They are so obsessed with this idea of what Floyd created, which is being undefeated, and they don't understand that if you're going into a fight, there is going to be fights where you're going to be at a disadvantage. Floyd Mayweather made it clear in pretty much all of his fights that he's not going to go into, Money Mayweather, that he's not going to go into a fight with a disadvantage. He's not going to do that. He's not going to go into a fight with a disadvantage. And a lot of dudes, when they're going into negotiations, I've heard many promoters say that unless there's specific stipulations, like whether it's Ryan Garcia with Ryan Garcia with a rehydration clause, or AJ or Fury with a rematch clause, or Canelo with whatever stipulations he puts on people. I know Canelo had a massive stipulation on Kovalev, and they always want something in their favor because they're just trying to cover up inner insecurity. And a lot of these guys have it. Tank is by far one of the worst fighters for that. He is one of the worst fighters for just not fighting people because of stupid reasons. Like when he didn't fight Lomachenko at 130, for me, that was the first sign of when I'm like, yeah, this guy he doesn't have a lot of confidence in himself. Tank talks very confident, but his actions are not confident at all.
I remember when he said he wanted to fight Loma, and Floyd was like, "No, not right now, not right now, no, not right now. We looking at other things right now. I mean, that's a fight that could be made, but not right now, not right now, not right now." And then it's like, okay, and then the false narrative that I hate, and I gotta cook on this. And it started off, I noticed it with Jermall Charlo, and I'm starting to see it now with Tank Davis. I am tired of you fighters saying when it comes to big name fighters, like Tank, you not fighting Shakur because you saying Shakur don't sell, right? That's what you saying, right? Who the fuck is Frank Martin, Tank? Exactly. Who in the fuck is Frank Martin? To compare, I'm saying on market value. So you telling me Frank Martin has more market value than Shakur Stevenson? Are you fucking serious? Like, make it make sense. Jermall did that shit with fucking Juan Montiel. You didn't want to fight David Benavidez at 160. You talking about that was a kid. Meanwhile, he winning all the belts to put him in position to fight for your weak ass WBC belt. And you sitting there talking about, oh, he ain't done enough. He ain't do enough in the division or in the sport. And then you pop the fuck up with Juan Monty goddamn L, who ain't even top 20 out of goddamn Mexico. But you gonna shit on David, who was what, top 20 in the world at the time? So where's all this false narrative bullshit where we saying the fighters that are actually doing shit, we don't know who they is, but then they pop up with this unknown motherfucker with only 10, 12 fights and shit?
I mean, Canelo does that as well. I mean, I remember Canelo said Benavidez hasn't fought anybody, and then his next fight was John Ryder. Make that make sense? I don't know. That has to make sense for me. He said to Andrade, you haven't fought anyone, but then he fought Yildirim. I don't get it. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me.
None, bro. None.
That is a common thing in boxing, but for all the pros that I've seen in boxing recently, like for all the positives that I've seen in boxing, there has been a lot of positives recently. You know, we've seen quite a few undisputed champions recently, and we're getting some real good and big fights. There is still a toxic attitude in boxing that I don't like. And this toxic attitude is what's going to be the death of a lot of fighters' careers. But the truth is, I'm not seeing enough of these guys getting condemned. I'm not seeing the Tank Davises get condemned enough. I'm not seeing the Canelo Alvarez's get condemned enough. I mean, the reason why Fury fought Usyk is purely and simply because he had nowhere else to run. This guy's been running for like 2.5 years because he knew he was going to get cooked, but he couldn't run anymore. But Tank Davis specifically, he might be the worst in the sport. His fans have created a safe space for him to exist where whoever he fights is acceptable. Canelo is another one. Whoever you fight is acceptable. and you've created such a safe space that if you fight me or DT3, well, it doesn't make a difference because it's Tank. Bro, at the end of the day, Tank hasn't. I have to keep emphasizing this. Tank hasn't fought a world champion in 6 fights. This will be the 6th consecutive fight where he has not fought a world champion.
And you supposed to be the star and or the face of boxing, and you not fighting for nothing prestigious. And that and the piggyback on what you said about Canelo when he said that dumb fuck shit about he gotta give me 100 mil. I gotta get 100 mil to fight. Well, how much you getting for Jaime, bro? What you getting for that nigga Jaime, bro? Jaime just came out the goddamn blue. You just, bro. David just fought Caleb Plant, Boo Boo Andrade back to back. And the only reason why Canelo fought Caleb Plant because he just so happened to have that IBF strap. That's the only reason why he fought Caleb. But the fact that David beat Caleb, then after he beats Caleb, he beats Andrade, which was a fighter that Canelo didn't want no parts of, and you still can't get the fight, Canelo, you ducking, bro. You're ducking.
Bro. It's more than ducking. And this is the thing. And me and Jeff spoke about this before the Bivol fight.
Shout out G5 Jeff, by the way.
Yeah, shout out to my boy G5 Jeff TV. Go subscribe. Me and Jeff spoke about this before the Bivol fight. I remember, and I was saying to everyone, Bivol was a harder fight than Benavidez. And people were like, well, if Bivol's a harder fight than Benavidez, why is he not fighting Benavidez? Why is he fighting Bivol instead of Benavidez? And I said to people, the reason why he's fighting Bivol instead of Benavidez is because if he loses to Benavidez, there's no excuse. If he loses to excuses that I moved up a weight class.
Talk to him, Shane.
And as soon as he lost, that was the excuse. I knew, bro. This is the thing. I was just waiting for it to happen. As soon as Canelo had nowhere to run, because first he said he don't fight Mexicans. Then he said Benavidez hasn't fought anyone. That's what he said. The moment Benavidez started to beat world champions, I knew he was going to say, well, Benavidez is too big. I knew he was going to say that. And in that interview where he said he wants 200 million, he said all Benavidez brings is 15 pounds. And I knew that was the excuse he was looking for. I was just waiting for it to come. And now the thing is, this is so funny. He says Benavidez is going to fight, is going to rehydrate 15 pounds, 20 pounds. You just took a dude from 154 to 168. Last time I checked, that's what, 15 pounds, 14 pounds, or however many pounds, 154 to 68, like that's like 13 pounds. You just fought Charlo. So you're happy to have the 13-pound advantage against Charlo, but you're not happy to give up 13 pounds against Benavidez. I mean, make that make sense to me.
Yeah. It's some of the shit just don't make no sense. Why all this duck talk and why fighters just constantly making all these fraudulent excuses why they can't fight each other. And it's just like, we seeing what you doing. First you say this, then when that fighter does what you saying they need to do to get a fight with you, and they do it and they're successful in it, now you coming up with another excuse why you can't fight them. And it was just ridiculous. It's like, and it was the same thing with Terrence when he fought Jeff Horn. And it was like the first Jeff Horn was too big. He knocked Jeff Horn out. Then they say, "Oh, Jeff Horn don't got the skill. What's the WBO belt?" and all this other shit. It's like they put an obstacle in front of you. Once you knock that down, they put another one.
Every single time. And the truth is, Benavidez is now moving to 175 pounds. And the truth is, if it's the same Volzik that fought Adonis Stevenson and the same Volzik that fought Karpenzi and even the same Volzik that fought Beterbiev, I'm not gonna lie, but Benavidez is in for a hard night. And
because Bovis, he could punch, man.
He can punch and he can box. But Benavidez, for all his attributes, and I really like Benavidez, he's a really good fighter. He is horrible defensively. I
said Canelo could get him to the body. He stands there in the high guard to be hit like that. Like he stands there and try to take your shit. So Benavidez is not an unbeatable fighter. He doesn't have a high defensive prowess or none of that shit. Is he a good fighter? Yes. Does he have good punch placement? Yes. But he's going to stand in the pocket with Canelo, and anybody who knows Canelo, that's the wrong thing to do. You don't want to stand in the pocket with Canelo, bro. You don't stand there with him.
Benavidez is relying, and he's relied on the fact that he's bigger and stronger than everyone he's ever fought. You won't be bigger than Voltic. You won't be stronger than Voltic. So in this fight, well, I don't know. It might not be the same Voltic that we saw 3 years ago. But if it is the same Voltic, the Olympian, the one who knocked out and sent Adonis Stevenson into retirement, if it's that same Voltic, you're not going to be bigger and stronger. So we're going to have to see something different from Benavidez in this fight if it's the same Voltic. I don't know. Voltic may have aged and he might be not the same fighter since the Beterbiev loss. But if he is, Benavidez is going to be in for the hardest night of his life, because I watched that fight against Andrade, and with Andrade, he's pretty much a 160 pounder. For the first 3 rounds, Andrade was hitting Benavidez with everything, and he was landing every punch he threw, he landed. And I just thought to myself, I can't, like, obviously Andrade's not a big hitter and Andrade is much smaller, but I can't see this style being a positive style for you to move to light heavyweight. If you're fighting Bivol or Beterbiev with that style, you're losing every time.
Good luck, bro. Good luck, because I don't care who you is, David. You're not going, for one, I don't see you outworking Bivol. I don't see David Benavidez outworking no Bivol. Nope. I don't see him. I mean, maybe he can outwork a Beterbiev, but Beterbiev got such good punch placement and power, and he's very good in the pocket.
You can't just stand there. You can't just stand there against Beterbiev.
That's what I'm saying. Like, he gonna touch you the fuck up. Like, I don't know, man. I don't know, man. I mean, I respect you, David, for moving up and being willing to fight these killers, but I don't know, bro. I don't know, bro. I don't know.
And those guys at 175 pounds, they make you check all of that at the door. Like, you ain't just walking through the front door and thinking you can just do what you want. No, we tell you when to come in. We tell you what you can and can't do. I mean, a lot of people have tried at 175 pounds. That division is a graveyard. Like, when I look at that division and I look at the bodies that Bivol and Beterbiev are piled up in that division is just a graveyard. Like, I've never, bro, you've watched boxing longer than me, so I have to ask you a question. I've never ever seen a division where you've got 3 mandatories and not one of the mandatories are calling out the world champion. I've never seen that.
Damn.
3 mandatories are 175 pounds right now. Bivol offered Buatsi the fight he was his mandatory. He turned it down. I've never seen that before.
Wait, Buatsi? With Joshua Buatsi?
Joshua Buatsi is Bivol and Beterbiev's mandatory. He turned the fight down. This is what I'm trying to say. I've never seen a division where you've got general world champions and mandatories. There's mandatories in every single weight class. They're not calling out the world champions. I've never seen that before. I've never
either. Like,
it's just graveyards in that division, bro. Just bodies on top of bodies. Like, Zurdo Ramirez got absolutely cooked by Dimitri Bivol.
He got cooked. He
was a 44-0 fighter when he got cooked by Bivol. He's now gone up and become cruiserweight world champion after losing to Bivol. This just shows you how great Bivol and Beterbiev are. A 2-weight world champion, a 44-0 fighter, got absolutely cooked by Bivol. Cooked. He didn't even win one single round.
Like, easy though. Like easy. Like, it wasn't even like a challenge from the looks of it. And I even said in the video long about maybe a year or two ago now that Zurdo was overrated. I'm looking at Zurdo. Yeah, he's Mexican. He got the Mexican following and all that type of shit. But his skill, he lacking. Like, he really lacking for real. And that prototypical Mexican style, unless you put some real raw skill with it, it's only going to get you so far. That take 2 to give 1 and hope you knock a motherfucker out, that shit is only going to work for so long. You're going to come across somebody that's just going to light your whole fucking world on fire, and you ain't going to be able to do shit. So, let me get to your question. What's up, man, in this corner podcast? So, the thing is about PBC, they have this motto. So if I'm under PBC, if I'm one of the head dudes in PBC, Shane's my fighter. If Shane is, what you walk around at, Shane? What weight you walk around?
140.
140. So Shane is fighting at 130 pounds, right? So he's in that division, right? So if I want to keep him as far away from Shakur and all of them as much as possible, I want to keep him away from him because I'm making so much fucking money off of Shane fighting these B-level, C-level fighters. Like, I'm getting millions off of that. So when the fans like yourself is sitting there begging me to put Shane in there with a Tank Davis or a Shakur Stevenson or a Vasily Lomachenko or even a Teofimo Lopez type shit, oh no, I ain't gonna put him in there with them because I'm making so much money over here fighting the Juan Montiels and the Frank Martins of the world. Why the fuck would I want to do that when I'm getting all this money and I'm hella, and Shane is dumbass popular right now. And if I put him in there with them dudes, he's liable to lose. And if he loses his prestige. He loses popularity. We lose money. Nah, I'm not doing that. That's bad business move. It's bad business. That's what it is. Do I respect that? No, because you're depriving the fans of the actual entertainment value they get from the sport. We want to see the best fight the best. In this game, in order to be the man, you got to beat the man. And these dudes claiming to be the man, and they haven't beat nobody.
That's why I do not, when anyone fights the best and I get undisputed fights, I overly praise and I overly condemn. That's why when I hear people say Tank is a pound for pound top 10 fighter, I say maybe in terms of ability, but Tank isn't on my pound for pound list because I don't want Tank, and I know my opinion means nothing, but the last thing I want to do is create an environment which is accepting and praising the behavior that I don't like. The behavior of Tank Davis, I do not like. The fact that you haven't fought a world champion in 6 fights, I am never going to praise that. So you will never get a place at that pound for pound table for me. I'll always put people like Inoue above you. Usyk, Crawford, Bivol, Beterbiev, Canelo. I'll always put these Bam Bam Rodriguez. I'll always put these people above you because in my opinion, Devin Haney and Teofimo Lopez are still higher on a pound for pound list than Tank, and they both taken losses. Reason being is because they both have fought multiple world champions that Tank hasn't. And for me, until you're not as good as who you've lost against, you're good as who you beat. And the best win on Tank's resume right now is still not an all-time, is nowhere near an all-time great fighter. Nowhere near a Hall of Fame. His best win is what? Probably Pitbull.
Yeah, his best win is Pitbull, in my opinion. And a lot of people saying his best win is fucking Rolly. But I'm like,
Rolly just got cooked by Pitbull just now, so
like,
can't.
Like for real. Like Rolly about to retire. Rolly's career is over.
I don't know if Rolly's in love with ropes because when he got knocked out against Tank, he fell right into the ropes. When he got knocked out against Pitbull Cruz, he fell right into the ropes. This dude's in love with ropes because this dude's face first into the ropes every time.
Charles D said Pedraza was his best win. Do you think Pedraza was his best win?
At the time, you can say Pedraza. I mean, regardless of how you look at it, when you look at the resume of a Teo, when you look at the resume of a Devin, even though they both lost, they've got better wins than Tank. And even if you want to say Tank's a better fighter, he ain't fighting better fighters. You know, you're defined by who you beat. When people talk about Ali, people talk about Ali because of who he defeated in the ring. That's why they talk about Ali. You're defined by who you defeat in the ring. You know, Floyd is defined by who he's defeated in the ring. You can't be defined by how much money you generate.
Mm-hmm. If that was the case, he could have retired after De La Hoya.
If that was the case, we might as well put Jake Paul. Or I don't even know.
I said that shit, bro. When they was like, I said, for real, if you want to go off of like, if we going off of, because Tank's stupid ass, yeah, I said it. Tank's stupid ass going off of numbers. If we going on numbers, Gervonta, Jake Paul in the face of boxing. If we just going on numbers, just numbers alone, Jake Paul doing dumb numbers. And at this stage, from what I hear, from what I've seen, Shane, correct me if I'm wrong, Jake Paul doing better numbers than you, Tank. Unless you know something I don't know.
I mean, I guarantee you this. Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson will do more pay-per-view buys than Martin versus Tank. Let's put it that way.
I mean, I'm just saying. Like, I mean, if you want to keep going off of you the face based on numbers and all this type of shit, motherfucker that's doing numbers every time he step in there is Jake Paul. I can't stand the white boy. Don't get it twisted. I really can't. But he doing numbers, bro. And he also helping certain fighters, you know, like the Amanda Serranos of the world, fight on a bigger platform. So I give him props for that.
But since when is boxing not defined by ability and accomplishments? That's what I don't understand.
Right.
I thought we ranked fighters based on what they have accomplished and their overall ability. Don't get me wrong, Tank's got elite ability. He's got a hell of a punch repertoire, but he is one of the worst fighters in terms of actually making big fights. I mean, his entire career has been a cherry pick. At least Floyd had the pretty boy where he was fighting killers. At least Canelo had, when Canelo was at 54 and 60, when he was at 54, he was fighting some real top fighters. Canelo actually had the early part of his career where he was fighting some top names. Like, even though he had cherry pick, he fought some real good fighters. I mean, some guys who go down in the Hall of Fame. Tank hasn't fought one.
Yeah, Tank hasn't fought one, not even possible Hall of Famer. He's just basically fighting to basically, you know, build his pocketbook. And he's already talking about fighting Lomachenko now. And Lomachenko, you know what I'm saying? It's like, I don't even want to see that. I'm not even looking forward to see no Lomachenko versus Tank fight. But what will be funny is if Loma pose a real threat to Tank. Like, if Loma fights Tank and Loma does better against Tank than what they expect him to do, Tank ain't fighting no top motherfuckers ever again.
No, but that's why if Tank fights Loma, I want Tank to win. I want Tank to win. And the reason why I want Tank to win is because Tank has confidence issues. I need Tank to have as much confidence as possible. I know people are going to be like, what do you mean Tank has confidence issues? He obviously does, because he doesn't fight world champions. So if he knocks Lomachenko out clean, maybe he might have more confidence to fight these guys that we want to see him fight. I can only hope.
So when you hear Tank say things like to people like Frank Martin, when he says, like, he said this on the Gilly and Wallow podcast. He told Frank Martin he should have waited to fight him. He should have fought a few more times before he fought him. He's saying basically he's not ready to fight him.
Well, he's giving him the advice that Floyd gave him. Floyd told Tank, you're not ready to fight Lomachenko. So he didn't fight Lomachenko. He ducked the Lomachenko fight. So he's advising Frank that you should have ducked him. The difference is, for me, I think Tank knocks out Martin, but the difference is Martin wants to be part of that action. He wants to challenge himself against the best. And the reason why Tank is so offended by that is because Tank doesn't do that. When someone is willing to go up against the best and you're not going up against the best, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. The worst thing that could have ever happened for boxing, was Ryan Garcia beating Devin Haney. That was the worst thing, because not only because Ryan Garcia was dirty, but it gave Tank Davis and Ryan Garcia and everybody else an excuse. Because one thing Devin Haney was doing, he was holding boxing to a high standard. Because I'm not even gonna say that because I like Devin Haney. Devin Haney was willing to fight world champions.
Yeah, he was willing to fight everybody, and it didn't matter where. He proved. So for me, I shitted on Devin. To be fair to Devin, I shitted on you, Devin, when you got email belt. When Lomachenko got the franchise and they emailed him the belt. I shitted on you, Devin, because I didn't respect it, because I felt like to be a world champion, you should beat the world champion. You shouldn't get nothing mailed to you or nothing like that. But when he was willing to go and fight George Kambosos twice in his backyard, I had to respect that.
No, but bro, that is so great. And then here's the thing. People forget. What did you say? You said he got the email belt from when Lomachenko moved up. He went back to 135 and he took Lomachenko in a voluntary title defense. Even if you want to say Lomachenko won or it was a close fight,
he
whatever.
Still took the fight though.
He voluntarily chose Lomachenko. If Tank Davis wins a world champion or anyone wins a world champion, they ain't voluntarily take fighting Lomachenko. And then to top it off, after Regis Prograis knocks out Pedraza, he moves up to 140 in his first fight, no two-knock fight, and fights Regis Prograis in his first fight at 140. Bro, This is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Tank Davis Devin Haney losing was the worst thing, because when Devin Haney fights world champions, it forces other fighters around him to fight world champions, because
Yeah.
he is setting a standard so high. That is the worst thing, was because if Devin beat Ryan, and like again, Devin lost to Ryan, we will see if it was a clean fight or not. But if Devin beat Ryan, Tank Davis has nowhere to run. You have to fight world champions. You can no longer hire guy, because you have a guy who's willing to fight the best, and he's around your weight class. And that, for me, it's like when AJ, when Fury fought Wilder, it forced AJ to now say, okay, I need to get part of this mix. I need to fight Fury, Wilder, or Usyk. It forced him. It forced him to get part of that mix. He couldn't get away with fighting the Kubrat Pulev. You had to fight the best. And that is what Devin was doing with Tank. And for me, it's just unfortunate that Devin lost, because it's now creating an excuse for Tank Davis. Well, I don't need to fight these dudes because I beat Ryan and Ryan beat Devin. And
so I don't have to fight nobody major.
It's horrible. I mean, Shakur Stevenson's part of the same group, because Shakur Stevenson, in fact, I don't even know what Shakur Stevenson's problem is, because I'm a massive Shakur Stevenson fan, but he needs to leave Top Rank, because I don't know what they're doing with his career.
I say he needs to leave Top Rank too. And I'm gonna say this before I get up out of here, because I gotta go pick my baby up from school. But to answer your question, Lee, fuck no. I don't see him clearing no division. Shane just basically explained to you why Tank Davis will not clear a division, because he's not in it to fight world champions. He's in it to build his pocketbook. And for a Tank to clear a division, he has to do what? Fight world champions. And he's not in the fighting world champion business. He's in the check cashing business, as your boy Floyd say. But at the same time, these fighters acting like everybody broke. They acting like they the only ones getting money, when you got Turkish Al-Sheikh out here just throwing out dollars. You know what I'm saying? So to me, like I said before, personally, if I was in boxing right now, I'm not fighting Tank. For what? Tank don't have nothing. I don't want to hear about a check. I'll go holler at Turkish Al-Sheikh. I'm going to get that oil money. Floyd, you ain't got that oil money. Alan Heyman, you don't have oil money. Turkish Al-Sheikh got that oil money. They throwing around $80 to $100 million like it's candy. You niggas ain't got that money. They do. So I'm going to go get that Turkish Al-Sheikh money. Fuck Tank. Tank don't got shit. What do Tank have? What is Tank doing for my legacy? Not a goddamn thing. So Tank, you could keep your Twitter fingers. You can do that shit all day the fuck long. You ain't nobody. You don't have nothing. You don't hold no real estate at 30, 35, 40. So who are you? What are you doing? You ain't nobody to beat in the sport of boxing. Yeah, I said it and I stand by it. Okay? Ain't nothing special about Tank Davis as far as boxing acumen, meaning accomplishments. You're not getting anything out of beating a Tank Davis. Nothing.
Are you in Vegas or LA?
I'm in Fairfield, California right now.
California. I'm going to Vegas in 2 weeks.
Okay.
The same week as the Adrian Broner fight, funny enough.
Oh shit. Oh man, I gotta do another live for that one, boy, because that's just gonna be a circus. That Blair Cobbs Adrian Broner fight. Adrian, if you lose to Blair Cobbs, I don't ever want to hear anything from you when it comes to boxing. Sit your ass down if you lose to Blair Cobbs.
Definitely.
Good matchup, though. Good matchup. Good fight for you based on your long-ass layoff. And Blair Cobbs ain't fought in a minute either. So it's pretty much a good fight for both dudes. But I'm going with Adrian. I want Adrian to win. I will be highly disappointed in Adrian if he loses this goddamn fight. And personally, if he doesn't win this fight against Blair Cobbs, Adrian, please, bro, please, just hang him up. Let it go. Because Blair Cobbs is arguably a C-level fighter, bro. At this stage in his career, he's arguably a C-level fighter. I mean, some people might say he's a B-level shit, but to me, based on my experience and what I've seen, he's C-level.
I'll make
I
the
don't see Blair Cobbs being a world champion. I don't see Blair Cobbs doing none of that shit.
I make the argument that where Adrian Broner is right now as of today, he's probably a C-level fighter as well.
Yeah, I have to agree. I have to agree because he hasn't shown that he could beat other C and B level fighters. He's shown that Adrian's shown that he fights to the level of his competition.
Definitely.
Which is ridiculous. But in closing, Shane, you have any closing thoughts before I get up out of here?
No, bro. It's good to be here. It's good to have you back. So,
yeah, man, I'm back like I never left, man. I just got to work on my intro game. I got to get that shit back better because I just got my computer fixed, and now I get to do my whole little StreamYard, my intros, and I get to talk to the people. And as you see, I do my live streams, and though none of you hating bastards pull the fuck up, I do my live streams for my subscriber, my fan base, but I also do it for all y'all that keep talking that shit in my comments and my videos, saying I look dusty, I look like a crackhead. Oh, where the fuck y'all at when the nigga be live? Where y'all at? Where y'all be at? Where y'all be at? Y'all ain't nowhere to be found. So you know what? I want to show appreciation to my loyal subscription base that comes to the chat. Appreciate everybody that came through in the chat, man. Again, shout out to my boy G5 Jeff TV, man. Shout out to my boy Shane. And who was that other dude that you be doing a podcast with?
Blunt. That's my boy, Blunt.
Who?
Blunt. His name's Blunt.
Blunt? Man, shout out to my boy Blunt. I see you on the gram. If I get a chance to get my passport or some shit, I got to come over there and sit with y'all, man, and talk some shit. Because that shit, I got to fucks with y'all, man. I got to fucks with y'all, man. Got to. But I appreciate everybody for coming through. You will see more live from me. More than likely, I try to give y'all one live a week or one live every 2 weeks and type shit. And hopefully we get my boy Shane, because I like to have my panel with knowledgeable people. I don't just want any motherfucker on my panel. I want y'all to learn something when y'all come to my YouTube channel. When you come to my live streams, I want you to get some game and some knowledge. And to have my boy Shane on here with his game and his knowledge and his basically interpretation of the sport was gold. So I appreciate you, Shane, for coming through. Man, I love to have you again. So every time I go live, I'm sending you the link.
Definitely. If I'm available, because there's a time difference. If I am available, I'll definitely jump on.
For sure, because I know it's dark over there. So, but let me get up out of here, man. I want to send a special shout out to my boys. Subscribe if you haven't to Boxing Logic United, Andrew Tucker's World, Reaper Gang Radio, and my boy Jay Beezy, NBBC forever. And as we always say at the end of this, it costs you nothing to pay niggas no mind. We out. Respect, though.